Hello everyone watching here on Facebook or YouTube or wherever you share it to. Just a little rundown. I wasn't going to do a whole lot. It's wintertime in Michigan. And so I decided after my second week off from work, the beginning of a new year, that I would actually give you a rundown what I've done. Maybe it will be a help, or maybe something that you might want to do with yours. But here we go. With any delay, this is the back part of the mud bug. You could see I did a lot of different smoothing out and adding like a compound that I use at the metal on metal compound. I will show you. If you got any rough or pits, a little bit of pitting in your steel or whatever like that, you know, you could see these little things here are really nothing. And it's kind of like you got like big ones, you know, in here. But anyways, let me focus this in out more. I had to patch. Some of the metal was pretty rough, the steel, and I had to use that compound. It gets hard, like not quite like steel, but it gives it that extra, you know, strength than, you know, before you put that stuff on. And I did this whole thing in here, sander, do a little more work in here and stuff like that. But it makes a nice smooth finish after you sand it. I had to refabricate, sanded all this. Refabricate the corner here was rusted down, so I got that nice and rounded, kind of like this one over here. I mean, a person don't have to be a genius, and once it's primed and painted, it will look good. Good enough. You can see on this side, I did that. I did on the other side with the motor mounts. You can actually sandblast it or wire wheel it out. I prefer a project like this if you don't have a lot of money. Maybe first of all, not doing one. This one here was like the worst one that I've had to work on. Or you can, like I say, sand it, wire wheel it out as much as you can. And of course, this is where the shaft goes, down here where the holes are for the drive sprocket that is in here with the, you got the differential shaft here, gives you an idea, part of it. And I'll show you, it's a good way to do this. This is pretty bad. I had to do this whole shaft. It was pitted quite a bit. You can see all in here because it was sitting in the elements for a few years. But that's that for that part. This is my other mud bug that I got pretty much finished. It's like 1973, 71, new tires, new paint, Briggs & Stratton motor. It's a 5-horse, and new tires. Anyway, just go to the fork. This is the chrome. Every time I take things apart, make sure you got like part bends. You know, you never know. It's always nice to have them for a while, because you never know if you need to use it for a reference or something. my brake calipers and stuff I might just end up replacing. But there's a compound that you can get for the chrome, and I have to get that yet, and I've seen it done on YouTube, and it looks practically pretty good. It just eats that rust, so I'm hoping it does a good job on this. You can see how rusty it is. And then I got a parts bin. I've been collecting parts and bearings already. This one here is from Maple Ace. That's for the jack shaft. This is the 5/8 jack shaft. And there's some couplers down there and stuff like that. Another bin. There's part of my cushion. That's pretty much shot. Here's what my garage looks like. There's the Bug fiberglass seat, and there's that one over there. That belongs on the one I'm really working on. There's an old motor, the original Bug motor. It's pretty much stuck. So what I did, I'm going to go back over here. I ended up getting the Tecumseh. It's going to look nice and pretty. This is the front part. I had to do a lot of metal on metal stuff on this too. You could see here, this is where your footrests are. At one time, had a pedal. That's why this is open like this. I'm going to probably just get a plate, put it right back, just cover that whole thing up and do it pretty much the way a lot of the other ones are. I'm not going to worry about a plate or a cable going through there with the gas pedal. So yeah, I had to goof around with that too. Okay, I mentioned about the compounds. This is a fiberglass Duraglass fiberglass. It's reinforced filler. It's already got the hair. You got your hardener, and that's what I pretty much used on the fiberglass if it needs it. Okay, this is the other differential shaft I'm working on. I found out that, thinking about it, and of course, see, I covered up some pits in here. I don't think it ruined the integrity of the steel enough that I can't use it. I mean, there are some deep pits, but not enough to, worry about. I might just, after I get everything on, I found out it's better to sand this down, but don't sand it down too much, because here's the wore out bearings, of course. You don't want this. You want this where it's not that sloppy. Brand new bearing, sand her down. Got it MTD. This is not the original disc brake. There's two of these. There's one on each end of these shafts. It's a dual brake system like the other trikes pretty much have, where they have the drum. I did it this way because these are harder to get anymore. You can get a differential shaft from Stanton, and I found out the back of this is made different. Back over here, a lot of them that I know of don't have this piece. So if you end up with a brand new Stanton differential shaft, No, I did buy one for this one. It's a brand spanking new. Brand spanking new. It worked perfect on this one. There's the MTD brake. You can see the cotter, or not the cotter, but the keyway. I put the brakes on this new one. I actually did it a little bit different on this one. Instead of going inside, I worked the way around it. You can see it worked out better. But that's an MTD 8-inch. And that's what I've been doing with this one too. Because they're about the closest you're going to get. Like I said, the differential shaft is totally different here. So this is the MTD 8-inch. Or you can get it from that other place on Facebook, and they're a motorsport place. And the one that I took off, it was pretty bad shape. Here's what the sprocket looks like. Look at all that pitting. Teeth, it pretty much, some of the teeth are just wore right off. It's pretty bad. 60-tooth sprocket. Yeah, I had to grind everything off. It was that bad. But it saves me from buying the spindles, and and it saves money this way. I don't have to try to drill this pin out that goes all the way through and try to knock that off. So I'm just trying to keep things original as much as I can. These are my bearing carriers. There's actually one more bearing on this one, what I'm really surprised at, than my other ones. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 bearings on this one. I don't know why, but that's just the way it's made. Differential gear. It's pretty much like a lot of the Peerless. One exception that I found was, it was interesting. I got 2 screws, and you screw that in there to hold the ends on. That was one of the interesting things that I found on here. But you always make sure these are not wore out, because they go around and back and around this way and that way. And then clear the grease, re-grease it, put it back together. And but I do need to add is, don't put a bunch of junk on these things. If you do that, you're going to run into a problem, because I have to sand it. You really got to sand this all down. Make sure your bearings are going to slide halfway decent on here, because if it doesn't, you're going to run into a problem. Once you get this thing put together, the problem you're going to have is you're going to have where it's not going to line up quite right, and try to move them if it doesn't want to go on your shaft. So you're much better off to make sure they go on smooth. Then you can position these. Because like where the gear box is here, you don't have a lot of room to goof around with it. And then once you put your bearing carrier plates on each side, then you get your 3 screws, and and you just tighten them up. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's that pin that I was talking about. So I'm saving this. I still got to sand this. It doesn't look bad. I had to grind out the lugs out of this thing. which I didn't want to do. I kind of liked it the other way, but it was so bad and rusted, you know, over like 40 years of just sitting out in the elements. But we're gonna do it again. We're gonna give it a second life, and we're gonna get out there and have fun with it. Have a lot more respect for this one because it takes a lot more work. A lot more work to do. But yeah, this motor, I'm putting this motor on. This is a nice motor. Nice motor. And then there's the seat. I guess that is pretty much it. I wanted to do another video here. This is what I use, wire wheel. And you got different ones you can use if you don't sandblast it. That is it. So Happy New Year. And I'll do another video later on, probably more in the spring, summer. It all depends how the Michigan weather is. Okay, good night. Thanks for watching. Thumbs up, subscribe, whatever.